dissecting what happened at the primaries with all the drama and the color and the lateness. Oh, the lateness. All right. So, getting into the stories for the next half hour, I have got with me two analysts in the studio. I've got Devo Okorie and I have got Lakunle. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we feeling? Have we had any sleep?
No. Morning, Lagos. I guess we've all been awake, except for those who have been eating the ice cream and the popcorn. Cool. Which way will the vote
You can tell he
candidates
hasn't slept.
go?
You can tell he hasn't
Oh
slept.
boy, we're still
You
awake.
got lost in that sentence,
We're
huh?
still awake.
Good
We'll,
morning, Shopper.
we'll,
Good
soon,
morning,
we'll,
people.
we'll soon start counting.
I slept real good.
Oh,
I
you did?
yes, I
He's in
did.
PDP.
I
Uh huh.
I'm just looking forward to
So
the
what
real
happens?
exactly the real
Okay.
debates. That's where it starts for me because I don't have any control over all this as of now.
Mm. Okay, so people, be my third analyst. I've already told you right from 6 o'clock. I'm going to need extra audience participation today because I didn't sleep for watching. Okay, I didn't sleep for watching. So let me hear from you. Let us hear from you. We are already streaming live on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments on the live stream like you've been doing since Business Express. You can also send WhatsApp messages into 0809 4440981 and tweet at us. We are at smooth981fm. You can also use the hashtag freshlypressed981, but make sure to tag us so I can get the right messages at the right time. All right, so let's start off this new drama and color as APC holds primary coming in from the Punch newspaper. So just giving a little information. First of all, the drama started from even the time because convention proper was supposed to start at 3:30 in the afternoon based on program of it. Didn't actually begin until 7:40 at night when the president arrived. Yeah, let's get into all that happened.
Yes, so much happened, and it's still happening. APC, as we know them, the All Progressive Congress, made up of former four parties, has been the ruling party for the past, let's call it two and current administrations. And they are the biggest party in Africa at the moment. Hence, they have a bigger convention going on at the moment where they will be electing their presidential candidate. So, yes, all roads, all flights, all hotels were pointing towards Abuja yesterday when it kicked off. And let's call it the Section 84 led primary. And this affected everybody because for the first time, only ad hoc delegates, which were those elected from the wards and local governments, were present as delegates for the election. Super delegates had to sit, stand by, or coordinate. Now that included all the public officials that you know. Now, what we had on ground was about 22 governors, so 22 APC governors, with about 2,322 delegates. And as they say, delegates will never make heaven. Ask me why. Well, the truth is,
We're asking you why, Jabo.
some of the highlights of what happened last night. First of all, there were 23 aspirants. Okay, I think before they started, two had already stepped down, and then later six stepped down for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and then one person stepped down. That was Nicholas Felix stepped down for Sibajo. Then the rest still decided to go for the election. Just before primary, as we all know, there was a lot of jocating, higi haga, and postulation as to how or who, whether there would be a consensus or not. At some point, it was, the Northern Consensus or the Northern Governors, which they said, that the party chairman mentioned, and then some very bold moves by Yahaya Bello, who said no, he wasn't part of it. Hence, he came out on a statement on TV that if the primary did not hold, that would be trouble for the party, and that he would only step down if the president asked him to. So we saw a lot of tension, which was raised yesterday just before this started. Remember, many pundits and speculators had been saying that the APC convention would come with a lot of punches and violence. However, what we have seen is that they've pretty much gotten their act together, although in comparison to the PDP convention.
I'm gonna bring something in, and I'm gonna bring Lucky to this conversation
Yeah.
because you said violence. So let's talk about the tear gassing.
Mm.
Okay, from the Punch newspaper, still on the APC primary, security operatives, tear gas supporters, and journalists. They actually threw tear gas casters to disperse some of the supporters and the journalists from the venue, the special convention. Now, luckily, just to bring you in with that because, yeah, it was there. We
Um, this story just um, highlights and um, brings again to the fore our inability to manage ourselves in many places where we find ourselves.
APC.
You go to say a bank, you see a queue, you want to jump it, you are in traffic, 2 or 3 lanes, you are forming a fifth, a sixth lane just because you want to get in front of people. Um, the police has announced somehow, whether it was right or wrong, that there were going to be some places that are going to be cordoned off for this event. Whether that is right or wrong is a discussion entirely on its own. People are known. A lot of people who ordinarily don't have any business being there would have gone there. We know the inability of our people to manage this kind of crowds. That's for the crowd who came there unannounced. The journalists, if they've been accredited, they have a special entrance and a mark place where they should stay, and they should arrive on time and so on and so forth. Now, the bad part of it now is that the police, when you go to events like this, you don't go with this kind of attitude that you are the one in charge and all that, and then the next thing is you shoot tear gas, you shoot live bullets, you are not able to
and
control people.
flogged the
And
people who were running.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that for whatever it is, the blames would have to go around. But at the end of the day, thank God there's no report that anybody died in what has happened. But it just brings to it, like I said, our inability to manage ourselves. Everybody wants to prove their rights. I mean, why would the police shoot anybody for whatever it is?
Now,
Why
but
would
let
people who
me
don't have any business in that place, why would they go there?
now, Lakune, let me just take us back to Monday as well, because we also heard reports about the roadblocks and the harassment that came from people who were having to pass through the many
Yes,
roadblocks that
because
had been
the
mounted.
organization, more or less as usual, and this is actually wrong when a sitting government takes the instruments of state to administer party affairs. I
Exactly.
mean, this has been not just the body language. This has been the modus operandi of the APC. Let's hope maybe if another government is voted in, they will put things
Don't let us
right
limit to the
back.
APC alone. All of
However,
them do it, even at state level. Everywhere you find anybody in control, they use this. I mean, it's supposed to be an internal affair of
the
a
party.
party. They should apply like every other person who wants to use this instrument. But because they are the ones in charge, they're able to do all these things the way they have done it. And then the people they bring out to do it, wanting to impress that they are in charge, does all these things that we're talking about. So the blames will always go around, as I've said, and it is very important that we end up telling the police force again that you don't go to a wrestling match with an assault rifle.
All right, now let's bring things back to the events that happened because yes, apart from the tear gas and the violence that we saw and the flicking, we also saw going back to the first headline said the drama, the stepping down one after the other as the camera then panned to show us the president's face and his pursed lips as he
and the
walked
first and the
towards them,
first lady.
holding.
I
Yeah,
mean, for those who felt she was in the other room, they truly had a nice chemistry going on stage right there.
she was very much
But
exposed.
as you know, this president, that's Muhammad Buhari, has produced more memes than any other president because he kept on having those smirks and looks on his face with each candidate as they came by. One would always want to know what was going on in his mind. However, another highlight was the absence of the former Minister of Education of State, that's
Emeka
Emeka
Nwadiwa.
Nwachukwu, who refused to show up I think maybe he felt he wasn't going to go anywhere, but I was quite unhappy to see that. Two, by the time they started the accreditation and voting, it got a bit rowdy around 2 a.m., and then the committee chair had to come out and instruct that only one state would vote at a time, which is why they're still voting up till now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, long
We're watching the
yeah,
events.
so this looks like something that's going to take place into the midday of today because, and everybody's going to stay there till the end. But what I would say is this: remember, whilst we're all caught up in the drama and the process of democracy, we must understand one, APC is just one party. There are other parties. I hope the other parties are going to make their own primaries as visible so that people could pay attention, understand that you have options. Because the way it looks like some people just believe if APC produces the
If
candidates,
if
that's
they
the end
Then
of the
that's
game.
the
if they
automatic.
Yes,
have the resources at the disposal of APC
what they should
or
try.
PDP.
They should try.
Okay.
Secondly,
Now, I love this message from Chedwin, who says our two main party conventions. One was a dollar reign, the second, not confusion. The silent third party. I hope we enjoy the fruits of our labor.
I really
Giving
hope
him
so.
that wordplay.
It's difficult to say an
Thirdly,
amen to that.
I really do hope that the youth, because it's, as you can see, as some would say, we're recycling the old faces and the old names. Younger people are stepping down for older people. But the truth is, if the youth do not participate, and beyond picking up your PVC, which is part of the game, you can participate at any level, at your ward, which is your local government. That's the closest and easiest. You can participate at the states, at the assembly level or the gubernatorial level. You can also participate at the federal level, which is presidential or federal national assembly. So we need to do this to ensure that we get the outcomes as a country, because the way the country is going with the insecurity status, Nigerian youth, you will need to wake up.
Oh my goodness. Well, what say you people? Because you've heard what Devo and Lakunle have to say, and now it is about your thoughts. Now, when we talk about insecurity, I'm gonna just jump into this next story coming in from the Punch newspaper. Vehicles damaged as Lagos task force and Okada riders clash. That was another big story that
Yeah.
happened yesterday, and I was watching it. I was like, okay, what is going on here? Now, a lot of sources, multiple sources on social media, were warning commuters and residents to be cautious around the area where this happened in Idiaraba. But luckily, I want to get your analysis of this because, of course, when we heard about the ban in these designated local government areas, we knew that there was going to be pushback from the people that were being banned, from the Okada riders, and now this. Your thoughts?
Again, excuse me. Again, another of those things we do, our disregard and disrespect for our laws and constituted authority. Pardon me for using that clause. Yeah. So a law has been passed by the person, the constitution, by the authorities, the constitution recognizes to pass laws, whether we like it or not. The first thing we need to do is obey that law, then challenge it. But here we are, a law has been passed, and people take liberties to disobey these laws.
Now, luckily, what I'm going to ask you is: a law has been passed, but where in the law did it say that the property that was confiscated would then be crushed?
It is part of the law. If you see the Lagos State traffic, whatever, I can't remember the exact name for the law. It is there that confiscated vehicles, whatever, motor vehicle, whatever it is, may be destroyed, may be auctioned off for sale for other people, and so on and so forth. It is in it.
No,
Okay?
that was
So,
the penalty.
so,
This time was reviewed, and that's
so,
why the confiscation and the impounding and confiscation came in.
so it is in the law. So whether we like I said, whether we like the law or not, the first thing to do is to obey it. Then the courts are there to go and challenge it. Having said that, when the law has been passed and we say we want to enforce, it doesn't cost us anything. It is gross. This is the kind of thing that gives the police the opportunity to use the high hand that we complain about. Okay, so if they say don't ride a motorbike on the road and you are riding and the police stops you to impound and you start to stone the policeman, what do you expect the policeman to do? The policeman has his justification at that point to say, my life was threatened and I have something in my hand to defend myself. And that's what I have done. Guess what? Much of the damages that were now done were very much after the police had left the scene. They've impounded motorcycles, they've taken them away. So you say you are protesting and you start to damage other people's property. And that is very, very unacceptable. And I'd wish, for example, if for a moment that we had CCTV cameras around our streets and such people are identified and arrested so that we can see their faces and they can explain to us the thoughts in their head that protesting for the confiscation of their motorcycle and then the right way to protest it is to damage somebody else's property. I think the Lagos State government should go a step further in finding these people and prosecute them aside from just impounding the motorcycles. I mean, it is not acceptable that you destroy that people's property because you are angry. It is not acceptable anywhere in the world, and it's not something we should applaud.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that analysis, Lakunle. Now, very quickly, I want to touch on this story because, hold on one second. Just trying to get it. Where did it go? Yes. So I wanted to touch on this because from the Vanguard newspaper, IG approves establishment of electoral offenses desk, right? Because we've obviously looking at the first two stories, looking at the season that we are firmly in now. We heard from the Inspector General of Police, Usman Babu, has approved the establishment of electoral offenses desk at the Force Criminal Investigations Department in Abuja. Now, Devo, tell us a little bit about this.
What is there much? Because police effectiveness has been quite low, or would I say negligible. So if you're adding the electrical offenses to the CID desk, I really don't know what's going to come out about it because this was coming on the passing of the electoral reform bill. Already, you know that a tribunal has been put in place to administer electrical disputes to ensure that those disputes come before someone is signing, so we avoid this off-calendar dates because of all the disputes that come from elections.
Mm-hmm.
So they said already they have some isolated cases, pre-election violence, political thuggery, those who were caught holding weapons and arms.
Pump action guns,
Yes, so
knives, charms.
at some point, maybe because it's elections, but elections shouldn't really have anything special. Crime is crime, however it comes. What I need to be hearing is how they are ramping up their forces to be able to address the rising scale of crime within the country.
Okay, let's take it over to your messages. Raymond from Festac says, I wept for Nigeria listening to our politicians last night, saying that Nigeria has no future. RIP Nigeria. Excuse me, I'm still in Nigeria and it's still alive. Thank you very much for that, Raymond. But okay, Ian Kabuli says, luckily, I beg, has a delegate come to say he or she was flogged? There were 2,000 plus delegates, and I'm sure there was a seat for every one of them. Can't we be orderly? The VP came up to speak. Oh, yes, and then you saw what happened, or we heard what happened as well. And you have folks screaming for about 10 minutes. The noise will not let him start. He goes on to say, I have never prayed for the security guys to throw away in the air and people to comport themselves. All right, Dami from Ikorodu says, after everything we've seen and heard about these primates, how can we have faith that the products, regardless of what they profess, will actually work for a better Nigeria and not for bigger personal Swiss bank accounts? Whilst Tony from Ikeja says the APC presidential primary is not expected to be anything different from what the PDP did. Can you imagine the heartbreak that many of the delegates suffered when it was rumored that the party was picking its candidates by consensus? These delegates are the cause of the wrong choice of Nigeria's democratic leaders. Tony goes on to say, at best, PDP and APC elections are just about which politician controls X number of bullion vans. Peter Obi was smarter and many youths love this, says Tony from Ikeja. EK says, both of the PDP and APC conventions were nothing but bazaars where the highest bidders prevailed. Oh, okay. And a B from Lecky says the kind of electoral reform we need to see is defining the educational and experiential qualification of the statutory and elected delegates for any political party. Research the profile of the delegates of the Chinese parties. No wonder the first quota imports from China into Nigeria grew by 183% to $3.7 billion. And B also says, please, the Okada news is not worth your airtime. Well, we need to talk about it. Okay, so maybe not worth your ear time, but we gotta talk about
That
it.
must be a member of the elite.
And Edmund from Satellite says, I would suggest, that the media be cautious with their dollar reign in one political party. That was a message that came in, but okay. Samuel from Lucky says, luckily that's a very sad part for many Nigerians. I remember a protest back in university. People were protesting the increase in fees, and some felt the right way to do so was to destroy louvers and lightings. We were all forced to pay for them. Ooh, and the messages keep on coming. Let me read a couple more and then we'll get back into the stories. James Ogona from Oshodi says, I was disappointed yesterday with the high level of unseriousness displayed at the ongoing convention, beginning from the delay to the stepping down. Well, he says distasteful stepping down by aspirants who ordinarily wouldn't get more than one vote. And he goes on to say, believe me, any attempt to bring in Tinubu as the APC flag bearer will be the final end of the party. Well, James, we'll see.
At the
It's
ballots.
only the future that will be able to tell us all of this as
Everybody being
facts.
absolute in their opinion.
Yes, everybody likes to say I can tell you as facts, but actually it's opinion.
And
But
most
thank you
times
for
they're not
sharing those
participating.
opinions, okay? Keep on sharing your opinions. Now, going over to youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos, which is, they says, Oshibajo talking about taking Nigerian astronauts to the moon with all the issues facing Nigeria, insecurity, ASU, and he's talking about the moon. So disappointing, says Uche. Let's get back into the different stories we've got for you now. Murder trial of BRT driver stalled again. Oh, what is happening here?
Well, it's just sad as the slow wheel of justice grinds in her favor, because that was a case of our dear sister who was molested and killed while on the BRT. Some time ago, the driver was apprehended, Mr. Nice, otherwise known as where is his name now? Andrew Omi Koron. Now, at the High Court in Tafabaloa Square yesterday, his lawyer was not around due to illness, so the judge had to adjourn the case to the 9th of June. So it's not too far off.
And last week it was also stalled due to the enforcement of the Okada ban. So it's been one thing after another.
Mm.
But yes, you were saying.
Yeah, so we just hope that 9th June is not too far, like I said. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, now this one, let's see if this is good news that we can hold on to. Our federal government moves to end exports rejection in Europe and America. This one in from the bunch.
Okay, so this story is just basically the standards of the of the products that Nigerians send to other countries.
Yes,
as
because I
exports.
remember when we were
Yeah,
getting
so-
return to sender posts from Europe.
Yeah, so every country in the world have minimum standards of everything. So, for example, they'll say, let's say, for example, any fizzy drink, for example, should not have more than say 1,000 or maybe 100 grams per liter of sugar. And then because we know that we consume a lot of sugar here as a way, then you make a product here for the Nigerian market with 105 grams of sugar and you send it to say France, for example, where their maximum in such a product is maybe 85. So it gets returned to you. So I know that the Nigerian Export Promotion Council over time had organized trainings about these things, um, um, educating and sensitizing Nigerian producers of products that are sent abroad, the minimum standards from from constituents, from additives to packaging, how to label the what they call those mark that those black lines that they put on the QR.
QR code.
I'm trying to remember.
Oh no,
It
I
didn't just slip
forgotten.
my mind now exactly. So
Barcode.
barcodes,
There we
thank
go.
you. So the barcoding and all those things, how, where to put them on your box, the kind of material you can use for packaging and all that. So these are things that here we may not be sensitive to, but out there, all these things as they all these a lot of countries are sensitive to all these things,
But
and they
then
have minimum standards. And when
also
they
we've
don't meet
seen
those standards, they return
agricultural
them.
products being returned
Absolutely.
for use of chemicals that are banned in other countries
Yes,
and
because
not
they will
allowed.
test them. So if, for example, you use, say, in quotes, what's the name of that? In storage, they have this product they use for preserving produce in storage. So you use it, which is one of the things that's been banned in those countries. When such products get to them, they will send it back because it has that chemical on it. So that kind of things that this is good news for us that it's now become public knowledge that people can take advantage of. I know NEPC does this a lot.
Well,
So
just to put the information there, so it's actually a special technical committee that has been set up, and it's got a 5 week mandate according to the chairman of the technical committee, or according to the executive director of the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, Dr. Ezra Yakuzak. So that they've got 5 mandates to see what they can do.
yeah, so but it's also it's an ongoing thing with NEPC actually. So it's a good one for us.
Okay, and Vanguard newspaper, over 20,000 Nigerians trapped in Mali. This is according to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. Duval, what is going on here?
It's one of the silent killers of our youth, which most times doesn't get spoken about. NAPTIP is the federal government agency that addresses the prohibition of trafficked persons. That's people who are actually being stolen or falsely repatriated for purposes other than is legit. So most times they're taken away for maybe very lowly work, and most times they end up as foreign slaves or even as sexual slaves in those countries. In Mali, where is the point of contact here,
Mm.
they discovered over 20,000 Nigerian youths were trapped in shanties in the mining areas where they were sexually exploited. Apart from the 20,000, 18,000 have been rescued to date, and most times they've been taking them through some level of drug rehabilitation and some form of empowerment. Now, the truth is this: we all know that we are almost about 200 million, and because of our poor economic status as a country, more or less, we are the poverty capital of the nation. So that means about 80 million Nigerians are below the poverty line. That is a strong figure that lends to the how would I call it, the migration of Nigerians to many countries. And sometimes people don't go in legit manner. So before we used to hear of how people from south states used to go to Italy and Europe for prostitution.
Mm.
How some would take their bets and take a road trip through Libya to see if they can cross
Mediterranean.
yes, the Mediterranean into France or Cyprus, etc. And here, some are even passing through Mali. Although, yes, we've heard a few cases of where when they went to get the girls are like, please leave them alone. But the truth is, we know that this comes out of a point of desolation. So it points to government. Maybe now that we are having elections, people would do their best to ensure that we vote the kind of government that would build our economy because we are losing our best for nothing.
We want a country where people want to come to, not go to this place.
Mm.
This is not a sinking ship, or we don't want a sinking ship, and we are not rats trying to escape a sinking ship. We need to, I don't know what needs to be done. Well, actually, I have a clue, but yeah, it's really all about what you think needs to be done. Thank you so much for joining the conversation and sharing your thoughts up on WhatsApp, up on Twitter, as well as up on the YouTube channel. You can catch the replay on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos right after this. I would like to thank my panelists. Thank you so much, Lakane. Lakane, where can we find you on social media?
Lovely, 70.
at Lakunle70. Find him up on Twitter. And Devo Okorie remains the mystery man. He's a mystery man on social media. You can't find him. You can only find him in the studio, okay? So make sure you catch Freshly Press every single Wednesday because he'll be on. That much we know. And thank you, Devo, as well. It's been an interesting Freshly Press. The drama continues. We're still watching, all eyes on the primaries. And you know what? Really, past the primaries, what we're going to see when it comes to promises that will be made and the promises that we need to make sure are upheld. All right, that's it for Freshly Pressed. Coming up, 8:15, it will be the locker room.
There was a